What's up? This is lesson number 2 on my Patreon page, and I'm actually filming this the same day I filmed lesson 1, which I wasn't planning on doing. I just got this idea in my head, and I want to get it out before I maybe forget it. So I'm calling this lesson Creating Interesting Phrases Using Numbers. Now, if the term phrases or phrasing as it relates to music is something that you're not familiar with, we're going to talk about it a bit today, but I definitely recommend exploring that idea, because starting to play with phrasing, that is something that really takes, a musician from being kind of more beginner amateur level to much just higher, in terms of musicality. Really, it's something, and I think as drum set players especially, it's something that maybe doesn't get thought about or discussed as much as maybe in some other instruments. For example, if you study classical piano or any instrument, let's say with a more serious classical teacher, you're probably hearing about phrasing all the time. If you look at a piece of classical music and see all those wavy lines, those slurs connecting different groups of notes, those are phrase markings, and it's really connecting different ideas together and also letting the music breathe more, okay? Kind of putting in points where you can breathe. Think of it in terms of writing. Let's say someone has all these amazing ideas they want to, in their head, that they want to write. If they just write, this huge amount of words with no punctuation, no sentence ending or beginning, when you go to read it, even though the ideas might be amazing, it's just hard. It's hard to absorb it all. It's hard to take it in. It's almost too much, right? But if those same amazing ideas, they start to, put in commas and periods and capital letters at the beginning sentences, it lets you, when you're reading it, almost absorb it much easier. You can kind of see where to almost sort of take a breath even as a reader and just kind of, get those ideas. Same thing with music. So if we come up with some great ideas when we're playing, if there's no beginning and end points, in there, there's no places for it to breathe, it can be just a lot to take in. Where when we can purposely kind of group parts of it into phrases, it just becomes much more listenable and much more interesting. So, what do I mean by numbers? Well, let me show you. So, I'm going to start out actually with something really simple. I'm going to play like that first ever. I just remembered I forgot to put my earplugs in. Let me do this as I'm talking. I like to have earplugs when I play. So I'm going to take like that first ever big dumb rock drum fill that, that most of us ever learned when we played the drums. You know the one I'm talking about. The one that goes like this, right? Usually we hit the crash cymbal right after. So when we play that, typically, right, we're thinking 4/4 time. And that is a full measure of 16th notes, right? 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... And normally it's played on the 4th measure. Usually when you learn it, even at the beginning, you learn it as the 4th measure of a 4-measure phrase. So, okay? So I want to actually talk about... So let's take that... If we take this 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... We can think about it in a different way. We can think about it in 4 groups of 4. 4, 4, 4, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it equals 16 because there are 16 16th notes. We're playing constant 16th notes in the measure. Okay? So we've got 1. So one nice way to maybe come up with something a little different, more interesting, is just, we're going to keep it real simple. We're going to still go in the same order, right? Snare, high tom, middle tom, floor tom. And we're still going to do a full measure of 16th notes. So what do we need to do? We need 4 different numbers that'll equal 16 instead of 4, 4, 4, 4. So let's just do we'll do 5, 3, 6, 2. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 5, 3, 5, 6. Let's play them without the break in between, and we'll repeat it at least once. So we got. Okay, so what I'm going to try now, I'm going to play simple rock beat, okay? And on the fourth measure, first I'll start with our standard fill, the 4-4-4-4 fill. And then on the eighth measure, I'll put in what we just came up with, which is the 5-3-6-2. And let's see what happens. Cool. Now, honestly, that doesn't sound that irregular to me. I think part of it, the reason is because the 5-3, that equals 8, just like 4 and 4. So we're still starting this one in the same place, right? We're still starting it on 1E and 2E and 3, on beat 3, which makes it sound still kind of pretty common. Let's do a different grouping that maybe won't sound as regular, as common, well, I guess we'll say. So how about we'll do 2-5-4-5. 2-5-4-5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. For now, I'm just alternating, okay? Single strokes, starting with right hand. So we got 1, 2, sorry, 1, 2, that in the measure 4 context of our simple rock beat. Now that one did to me sound a little bit different, right? Having the 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4, because everything except for this is starting on an offbeat. Right? So let's say you wanted to, now obviously one thing that you can do is come up with any combination. And you don't have to stick to this 1, 2 drums in this order, of course. You don't have to stick to a full measure. It doesn't need to be 16, but for something to start with, it might be good. Come up with different numbers, right? 5 5 5 1. 1's an option too, you know. 4 3 4 5, whatever. So let's say the one we just did, right? The 2-5-4-5. Let's say you like that, you want to play that, but you're worried. Let's say you're actually playing this with other musicians in a band situation. You're worried that it might confuse people. They might get off a little and not be sure where the beat is, right? You want to play something that's interesting and that you think works musically, but you don't want to really confuse the other people you're playing with. That's not a good thing to do. So one thing you might do is maybe you want to try to keep the bass drum playing the pulse, the 1 2 3 4, right? So what would that be? So we got 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so let's see what would happen if we do that as measure 4 again. do. If you don't want to make it as maybe obvious, like keeping that pulse, which might be interesting, you could actually take the bass drum, if you want this, and you could have that also accent the beginning of our mini phrases, right? So the bass drum could be on the one of everything. So the bass drum's playing 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? This won't help people if they're getting lost, but it might be an interesting sound. So now we'd be going. A bit more of like a herky-jerky type feel, which you might want. You know, also, we can take this out of the fourth measure of this rock context, right? What I just played, that 2, 5, 4, 5, you can start to just explore that in different ways. So it doesn't need to be around the drums. Maybe we start to, you know, just play it all on the snare, put in some accents at the beginning with the bass drum. Play around. You can keep those accents in those places and maybe play around, add a few more. And also, if we want to really take this, if you want to just explore, if you're playing more just kind of using this to come up with ideas, if it's not in, let's say, a 4/4 context at all, or even any type of time signature, you could just, you know, use these numbers. So maybe, like, meaning they don't have to add up to 16. So you can have them be whatever you want. It could be something very short, like maybe you do 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. It could be a much longer thing. We could go 3, 3, 4, 4, 3. Yeah, 3, 3, 4, 4, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, and then it repeats again. That equals 17. So it's one longer than the 16 we did. So I don't even, what would this be for time signature? It would be in 17, 16 maybe. But I'm not thinking of it in terms of time signature. But it is a cool way to start thinking about creating things and maybe even improvising. So I'm just gonna, here, I don't want to make this video too long. I'll take that idea. And you can listen, I might make some mistakes and stray from it, but I'm going to try to just, improvise a little and try to, in my head, I'm going to try to keep that 3, 3, 4, 4, 3 going on and see what happens. So I might start kind of simple and then maybe try to expand on it a little bit. was some good stuff in there, also a bunch of nonsense, and I think I got off the pattern a little. But you see the idea, right? You can kind of take these groups of numbers and come up with some cool stuff. So have fun. Happy drumming. See ya.